Inhabitants of YouTube, hear ye, hear ye. It's your mans and them, the Toothless Wonder, with another installment on the Bamboozled Again News Network. I had the part where I didn't want to be super darky, you know what I mean? Even though to me that is symbolic of the sophistication of evil and the darkness that has befallen us, right? But no need to worry. Simultaneously, whatever, and, it's going to be hard for me to quantify this, but you know how you know stuff, not knowing how you know, but can't nobody convince you you don't know? Like I understand something by feeling. And I was just thinking about how this whole, well, me personally, my whole life has become full circle. Every single thing I've ever gone through, experienced, witnessed, has prepared me for this point now, right? Now, I checked out a new breed on about, his articulation about what the CEO man of United Healthcare, him being unalive and what that means. And I had a similar synopsis, right? And then from my experiences growing up in treatment as a client, working in treatment, that's why I'm going after these people now, because you're nothing more than a commodity at this point. And they're about to pull the rug back from under you, right? Where I grew up at, when I first started becoming self-aware, like the early 90s, we grew up very agricultural. Almost like Little House on the Prairie kind of. If you wanted, like, we didn't have any, like, central AC or heat. Um, if I was cold, I would have to go out and chop wood. You see what I'm saying? If I was in the house hot, the old folk would tell me, sit down and put a cold rag on your head. You know what I'm saying? Back in the day when it wasn't no either you're in or you're out. This ain't no barn. You know what I'm saying? I could go to the garden that sat between my grandma's house and my uncle's house. Watermelon, tomato, cabbage, string beans, corn, cantaloupe. You understand me? And then my aunt and uncle had a small one on the other side of his house on the opposite side. Our trash man was the pig pen. You understand me? I never remember a time when any of my family members went to the hospital for illness. Not that I can recall. They always had these wild home remedies that in my young mind made no sense. But I was always back on deck. I remember one time, I think my family went somewhere, so I was just home with my grandmother. My chest was congested or something like that, right? And I thought she was experimenting on me or doing something wild. Do you realize she cut up onion that you put on your sandwich? Like, bro, man, tape that joint to my chest. And the next morning, I was back on deck. Now, I smelled like a cheesesteak sandwich. But the onion pulled all the stuff out my chest. When I was in Baltimore, I had messed around and got a bull on my hind part. And that joint was wild. The old school cat daddy that was right next door to me, he told me slice a potato and the potato will draw out the pus or whatever that is. And darn if it ain't work. Thinking back on my experiences in Baltimore and my knowledge of healthcare is more so from the treatment, substance abuse related industry, right? How do I go with this? Okay, let me reverse engineer the timeline, right? So, Baltimore has always been the heroin capital of the Milky Way galaxy. Supposedly got the most addicts per square mile of anywhere on Earth, right? So there's always been a heroin issue. It's part of the culture. But the money that we see or the awareness never happened until, our white counterparts started succumbing to that addiction. But here's how they did it. And this was a integrated, integral, long-term plot between the insurance companies, the doctors, and whoever else, right? So, like narcotics and things of that nature, that wasn't really a thing. And I was never really a pill popper. So that I was kind of beyond my scope of comprehension until I went to Baltimore and I started putting the pieces together. So, like when the e-pills and all that was out or whatever. No, let's go back to let's say 9/11. Okay, 9/11 happened, boom. So they gave a story about the terrorists being Saudi Arabian. But somehow we wound up in Iraq and Afghanistan. That don't make no sense. But what's crazy about it, we know they were Saudi Arabian, because even though the plane blew up and crashed into this building and all this, heat and all that ain't supposed to melt steel beams, somehow their plastic and paper passport survived. That's how we know they did it. So even back there, I said, well, why are we over there in Afghanistan? Come to find out, at the time, I don't know how it is now, Afghanistan produced 90% of the world's opium, right? So shortly thereafter, let's say within the window of a couple years, there became this influx of availability of high-grade heroin, or it became more plentiful, rather. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, okay, whatever. Shrug it off, right? I believe shortly thereafter, now I don't go to the doctor like nothing, but there seemed to be this new wave of, you go to the doctor thinking the doctor care about you. You got a hangnail, and he subscribed you 90 perk 30s. Unbeknownst to you, they're habit forming. Now, I have experience with taking oxycodone when I broke my neck. And I took them as prescribed, because I'm not like, you ain't got to worry about me abusing no pills. I'm more of a smoker and a drinker. Took them as prescribed. In 3 months, I took the neck brace off, so I stopped taking them, because I was taking them to go to sleep. Because it's kind of hard to go to sleep with something strapped around your neck. Now, I didn't know I had caught a habit, but I didn't know I was jonesing or whatever. Now, I didn't get sick or sweat or anything like that. For the 3 months I took them pills, it took me 3 months to get back on a regular sleep schedule. I could not go to sleep. I could not cross over to save my life. I said, yo, this is powerful. You know what I mean? So they subscribed these perk 30 for hangnail. This is how they got white folk chimed in. And then, insurance, your script run out, whatever. And then that moved people into the heroin market. But then shortly now there's availability of heroin, and it's cheaper. You see what I'm saying? And it'll get you higher. I've never done it personally. But then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, here come this fentanyl out of nowhere that they say come from China. But it's coming over here by the boatload, to the point where if you buy anything off the street, you got to be leery, because it might be laced with fentanyl. That don't even make no sense. If I sell weed or coke, it don't make no sense for me to cut it with fentanyl. None. So if something's going on everywhere, it has to be systematic, yo. It has to be. There's a school of thought that says you can go willingly or you can go kicking and screaming, but you going. I had a partner, DC Mo, who I talked about a lot on here. He had, issue with his diabetes. And he complained about the doctor say this, they do this, they trying to pill me up. I'm like, yo, from my knowledge, you keep putting all your faith in the doctor, man, but you're not doing your due diligence personally to improve your health. As I'm watching you eat pork rinds and diet soda. Change your diet, bro. Do a couple push-ups. Go in the sun. They don't tell you do none of that. They just scare you half to death. So in my experience in Baltimore, I had to go into this, and I talked about the community wellness organization off of Eastern Avenue, right? A Christian-ran, zesty organization. So there were only 3 stipulations. I had to see a psychiatrist once a month, psychiatrist doctor or something like that. I had to pee twice a week, and I had to check in with somebody, right? But you were basically on your own. Excuse me. So they tell me I gotta go to the doctor, give blood, and da-da-da. That's part of physical, whatever, part of the program. All right, cool. I ain't stunting that, right? So I get the blood, cool, fine, dandy. No, let me dial it back. So the first time I talked to the psychiatrist on Zoom, we talking woo-da-woo. So I think you needed a diagnosis. So I'm going to just go low depression. Yeah, I'm in treatment. I'm depressed, right? Okay, cool, boom. See them people again the following month. It's a whole new doctor. And they, start, exchange pleasantries and whatnot. And then they start saying, well, I want to subscribe you this for hearing voices, da-da. I said, whoa, what you talking about, hearing voices? She was like, well, the doctor put down here in the notes that you hear voices. Man, I don't hear no darn voices. I hear your voice. What is you talking about? Then she's like, well, I understand this, it's kind of embarrassing, but this is what they wrote. And, no, man, they must have wrote something wrong. Man, I don't hear no daggone voices, man. What is y'all talking about? She keep trying to like, yo, that's wrong. Woo-da-woo. Whatever y'all, I don't want none of it. They will try to manipulate you into think, they'll tell you what's wrong with you. We got to get in this space. You're going to have to be able to diagnose your darn self, especially when it comes to your health. You should be in tune with yourself for the most part. to know when something go wrong or if you don't feel right. Be able to diagnose yourself and treat yourself. But we've been in Babylon and in its codependency with the system so long, we let people tell us what is in our best interest. You supposed to know that. And if you don't know that, you don't think something wrong with that? Like when I make a statement like that to the average person, that seems crazy. But you going to this man who gonna bill your insurance to high heaven to give you some stuff that's not gonna effectively cure whatever it is you're dealing with, and then give you a host of other problems. And for those problems, he got some more pills to alleviate that. That's crazy to me. You know what I mean? So back to the blood story, right? So then I get the blood the first time. All right, cool, boom. I go back down the spot. Or no, they sent out some mandatory edict. That's how, because what it is, and these treatment centers are like this now, and I'll get to them in a minute, where they take vulnerable people. That's why I understood now, if people perceive you need them, they'll treat you any kind of way. So they perceive we need housing, but under this perception of need of housing, then we'll mandate, because we think you need the housing, you do all this other stuff that's not in your best interest, don't help you. So then they said I was mad that I had to go give some blood again. But I'm like, darn, I gave blood the last time, and they said they were going to send me results and didn't do it. So I go down the jump. They're like, yeah, we need blood. And they getting a little aggressive. So I'm like, well, I gave y'all blood the first time. I never got the results. What's up with that? They was like, we don't have a record of it. Well, I'm like, that's y'all fault. But I know I came down here and gave blood. You see what I'm saying? So I don't feel comfortable giving y'all more blood, and y'all can't tell me what y'all did with the last blood and then say y'all aren't getting them when I did. So we a little jostling back and forth, but I ain't getting no blood. That's the dead issue. So then I look down, there's a counter, and then I look at there's like a notice on the counter that says, and now this is the clinic that's directly tied to the housing organization, trying to sew the game up, you understand me? So the notice says, if you refuse services, we're still obligated to bill your insurance. So I tell the people, since y'all know where my blood at, and I'm not giving y'all no more, this notice says, even if I refuse service, you're still going to bill my insurance. So I'm not going to give you some blood. Just write down that you did and bill the insurance company, because that's all y'all going to do anyway. So when I dropped it on them like that, they was like, they just went on here and left me alone. Then, no, this is what they do. They said, well, we're going to have to tell the people back at the housing organ you refuse. You ain't got to worry about it. I'm ready to call them and tell them. You know what I'm saying? So that went nowhere. You know what I mean? Woo, woo, woo. Had another instance. I had to see this particular case manager. And while I'm talking to her, she was talking to the nurse lady. So while we're in there, the nurse lady said, well, since you're here, would you like a flu shot? I say, no. She say, why? I say, because I don't want none. And I can't remember last time I had the flu. Now, I'm not taking this super crazy. Now, I'm explaining to her why I'm anti-flu shot. And I understand she works in the industry. So she's explaining to me why she's pro-flu shot. That's all I took it as. But I still ain't getting no flu shot. I don't care what you said. So much so, between our verbal discourse, like all the other staff members are listening to our conversation. So that's over with, done, boom, cool, boom, I leave, right? So the next day, they had hired this Indian woman to do something else, and I had to see her the next day. Now, she's from she wasn't Indian. She was Middle Eastern. Maybe she was like from Jordan, Lebanon, I think maybe Lebanon somewhere, right? So in the personal conversation me and her having, she was like, wow, Calvin, I agree with everything you said to that woman yesterday. Because she comes from more of an Eastern look or Middle Eastern view of signs. And she was like, yeah, we don't do all them shots and da-da-da. Like, now that I've been in America, this is crazy. She said, I'm just here to get whatever I get or her education. And then she going back home. I said, yeah, good job. Take me with you, right? So it was crazy, right? So I don't take it. It wasn't disrespectful or we didn't get loud or nothing. But every day, not every day, but periodically, whenever I would see her, I'd be just in the courtyard doing whatever or talking to whoever I'm talking. And I would hear, what's that noise? I turn around, it's her. I'm like, you mean tell me you still mad about that conversation? That was 4 months ago. Man, give me a hug, man. I understand you with them peoples and you got to, give me the company line. But I got my own brain. I might got an issue, but that don't mean I'm totally stupid. You know what I'm saying? Yo, these were cut. And now here's what's happening in the recovery game. Because I still got homies back in Baltimore. Now, the institution that helped me get clean, right? I went there in March of 21. They were in this influx, right? And it's a wicked game, Jack. So while I was there, if you use the helping industries, you can elicit sympathy, right? And then elicit funding, right? So these people had a fundraiser to build a $70 million women's center across the street on East Baltimore Street, right? Right down the block from the block, like the strip club and all that, right? Downtown, Inner Harbor, all that good jazz. They built the $70 million building, sliced it up. We're going to house women and kids. I think they got a helicopter pad, state of the art, all this jazz, right? And I haven't talked to them recently, but in this $70 million building, they might have got about 7 women and families in a $70 million building. The dude who ran the campaign to get all the sweet potatoes from Under Armour and Amazon and the Raven Oils and all these people, you can't tell me he ain't put some of that money in his pocket, because after it was built, he retired. And like his regime, now there's a whole new regime there. You know what I'm saying? So the government is supposed to take over the building, which is like, it has various components: spiritual recovery. They have like homeless services, another program through John Hopkins, like, experiment on you and all that. There are stores, when I went to Baltimore, like these fable or folklore stores of back in the 60s, 70s, where John Hopkins was scooping people up off the street, homeless people off the street, and experimenting on them, right? So the government's taking this particular institution over. They removed like the real, who bowed it, principled ethics, The only people are left are the go along, get alongs, or who won't, token Negro, stuff like that, right? And the first 2 things the government is doing when they come in, they're taking out the spiritual component, the spiritual recovery component out of the program. And there's a cross that has been on the building since the late 1800s. That got to go. Message. But a lot of times, because us, especially us Negroes, are so short-sighted, the play will be setting up all around us, but we're so short-sighted we can't see it. And then when it get up on us, we ain't got no plays in the pot. You know what I mean? These recovery centers in Baltimore that were popping up out of nowhere, because like I said, when I first went to Baltimore in April of 2016, I caught in the transition of state funding, which means the state funded, you had to write grants and there were audits and all that, and all the money had to be accounted for because of, the necessity, because of the manufactured heroin epidemic. They moved it to billing of insurances. So now you can bill for insurances to the state funded, insurance companies, right? You had rehab popping up and these housing organizations popping up overnight. I personally know old dope runners who got into the recovery housing game. I got a classmate from my hometown who was funneling his drug proceeds through a recovery housing center. He just got jammed up with a boatload of, you know what I'm saying? But there were always rumors thrown around that it was be funded with drug money. And he would only house Negroes. You see what I'm saying? People just go along, be slick, look, what I mean? You know how that go, right? But these housing organizations or these recovery houses, where like the ones I was in, you in a 3-bedroom row home, and it might be 20 dudes in the jump. You know what I mean? They housing you, but now they're housing you, right? But here's the game though, because of the smack epidemic. That's another code word for heroin. 90% of the people that was in the joint were on methadone and Suboxone. I didn't understand this till, again, I was in Baltimore and just, talking to homies or whatever. Methadone and Suboxone are actually harder to get off of than the original heroin you was on. But here's how they sold the game up. Now, it's supposed to stop your craving for heroin, right? But they'll play the fear tactic that if you don't take this and you mess around and relapse, you might die because fentanyl waiting on you. They play both sides against the middle. So which one do you do? Or do you have the ball say, oh, I ain't gonna mess up? Because if you mess up, you mess around, go to the upper room. But if you want to play it safe and get on this, as they call it, maintenance, it'll actually be harder to get off of. So you'll always be codependent on this. I had a roommate who missed his dose, and he couldn't even get out of bed. Facts. His body wouldn't even function. He had no gusto. And that was from missing 1 dose, I believe, of methadone. I can't remember which one it was, methadone or Suboxone, right? Coupled with the fact, that's why when I went to Baltimore, I said, Baltimore got to lead the nation in people with a walker or a wheelchair. Because you'll see people walking down the street like bent over backwards or like back arched over. You know what I'm saying? That's all from the maintenance drugs. But here's how crazy it is, and how the insurance companies infiltrated treatment to make this happen. Because you start now in these various, doctors or these people with, whatever letter, they start preaching, or like how they do in academia when they come up with a new thought concept or something. They just, have these lectures at these various institutions of higher learning, and then it becomes a thing where they started preaching what they call harm reduction, which to me means you go slower, faster, and preventative maintenance. Translation, putting you on these drugs. So these recovery houses have been dens and concentrated centers, almost trap houses for the peddling of methadone Suboxone. The teacup head man that was the CEO of the institution I worked at, come to find out, the dude over top of him, and these are all Jewish people, right? He is under active investigation for trafficking Suboxone. He himself. The whole demonstration is out of order. And here's what's going to happen. Here's what they do. They create this codependency on the system or these drugs, and then you know what they do? They pull the rug out from underneath your feet. Now you can't afford it. Now you got to jump through a whole bunch of other hoops to maintain or to be in compliance to get said service or said drug. You know what I'm saying? They create the dependency, pull back, or how they say it. I learned this when I was in the streets, not in the streets, but there's a term where like hustlers, like dope hustlers, heroin hustlers used to use this. I'll give it to you until you need it. Now you got to pay for it. They create your codependency on it for free. And now when they got you hooked, now they make you pay for it because now they know you need it and you can't go without it. When they talk about, the root word of pharmakia and all that, relating back to translating to sorcery and Latin and Greek and all that, they ain't never lied. So you can keep fooling these people you want to. They got a vicious move waiting on you. You know what I mean? Like I got a family member who's super, I don't know what I'll call it. He's well versed in whatever rhetoric they're spewing. Like I talked to this individual, right? They changed the weed laws and whatnot, right? So this person used to get on me about smoking weed as drugs, you know what I'm saying? Everything drugs, right? But I said, don't you find it odd that when the proverbial white man changed his opinion of weed because he about to sell it, now you done changed yours? Outside of, how they hybridize it and do all that chemical process to it, it's the same reefer it always been outside of that. But when he changed his opinion, now you done changed yours. Why do you just don't have your own opinion in and of yourself? Whatever the people on TV say, you believe it. Then assume for whatever reason they don't believe it no more, now you don't believe it. You don't see nothing wrong with that. But then they'll come up with these arguments, oh, you don't know what you talk about, you ain't been to school. Obviously, I don't need no school because I ain't been wrong about nothing. That ain't something I've been wrong about. Like when people ever try to like when I called out the recent job people and, you know what I'm saying, they was like, oh, you must need it. Like because I'm standing up for what's right because can't nobody tell me I ain't. Then you insinuate I must be on drugs. But this is coming from someone who they swept this under the rug, but they were caught sniffing cocaine inside of a rehab as a staff member. And you gonna try to tell me what to do. You the one who need them people. You codependent. You can't think for yourself. You see what I'm saying? You can't survive without your attachment to these people because they're paying for your treatment. You just trying to figure out how I know. You know how I know? Because they tell me, that's why. They trying to figure out how am I getting this information. And I don't really seek it out. People feel comfortable telling me. I think because they know I'm going to do something about it. Or at the very least spread awareness like I'm doing now. Y'all, I'm telling you, boy, this is going to be a wicked fallout. And the whole treatment, however that's constructed, is about to change. Because I'm thinking, from being privy to it, like at the spot, right? They charged the insurance company $30,000 a month for 30 days. I'm trying to figure out how is they even paying for all that? And then the services we give them are drop in a bucket. It don't equate. Yeah, I understand any business got to turn a profit. But $30,000 for one client, and this institution houses got 100 beds, and they make sure they keep them full. You see what I'm saying? Boy, they raking that. Boy, they rolling in the dough like Scrooge McDuck. But again, I go back to, like, well, I don't know, like, I'm kind of new to YouTube, right? So like, I'll post this video, right? Then I'll go home, hop on my Wi-Fi, and then it takes a period for it to, I guess, get prepared. I might got them inverted, or to upload, and then that'll be 100% after a period of time. Pretty quick when I'm by my house, and then it'll say uploading, and then it'll go up to 100. Here's what I'm saying. Whoever may watch this video, depending on your spiritual inkling, if the Most High leads you this video, you done just went online. Yo, I've been hit between Friday and today. I've been hitting with, and I used to feel it, but it's becoming more increased, right? Like, as I like to call it, these power surges. Like that video I posted, or that song I posted in my community section, Powered by Hezekiah. Boy, I done played that joint at least 413 times. Because it's doing something to me. I'm surging. It's hard to explain. I done just went online. Now, I don't know exactly what that means. And then what's crazy is I'm having these inklings, right? About, like, I made a video about having a breakthrough, and I believe I have, be able to fill a need in a place where don't nobody want to come and do it, but I'm well trained for it because of my life and experience and so on and so forth. Then I had someone reach out to me whom I don't know, and I had this thinking like, yo, yeah, that's cool, yeah, okay, boom. But then I was thinking, yo, this ain't the end all be all. Yo, it's greater beyond this. Had an individual contact me through email whom I don't know and told me the exact same thing I was having an inkling about. And basically told me, I know more than I realize I know. I don't even know how I know. I just know it, and can't nobody convince me I don't. I don't know what our titles, John. You done just went online. As we see these, the system falling apart, the idols falling, the falsehoods being exposed. Again, simultaneously was prophesying to myself back in the day. I might not start coming alive in the drop until the world around me and the society in Babylon start dropping. I've been going through these power surges. How would I word it? I've been knowing stuff with no evidence, but I know it to be reality even though I ain't seen it. Not in ego or nothing like that. Not in self-grandizing or anything like that. Now, I ain't talking about just straight good times and all that. But now I truly believe, ain't nothing I can't endure. Ain't nothing I can't graciously get through. When I was homeless, I was literally homeless for like 40 days at the first part of my wilderness season, right? Now, it was cold, trust and believe. And maybe, here and there going to homeless shelter before I get in and all that. I literally stayed outside for 40 days. And it seemed like the Most High made me impervious to the elements. I should have died. It was that cold. And I had, regular jacket. I mean, it's nice, you know what I'm saying? But still, to not go inside like that at all for 40 days, round about this time of year. Yo, it's like, again, I say it's hard to quantify. I'm feeling people now. And I don't mean like just regular empathy. Like I feel them. Like I know them. You know what I'm saying? I've been conversing with people like I've known them all my years. Here's another thing that typically, chosen one talking point of isolation and all that. That's about to be over. If it's not over now, you're going to start having, and I know we got to be guarding and all that, and I am too. But you're about to start having genuine connection with people out of nowhere. And y'all are just going to understand each other. It's not going to be forced. It's not going to be, it'll be so harmonious. Like me, it'll make you wonder back in mind that the adversary send these people, because this is too good to be true. You know what I'm saying? Because like I say, I'm not a phone person. I've been talking on the phone for hours. And it just flows. And if I ain't have other stuff to do, I'll probably still be on the phone. You know what I mean? We're about to start coming together, not through our own hand, but because it's now the appointed time. So you've gone through the isolation, the narcissistic abuse. You've gone through, various trials and tribulations in whatever shape, form, or fashion that manifested, right? But all that was training. All that was to prepare you to step into your God-given calling. Can't nobody else do it but you, the way you do it. How do I word it? Okay, that prophecy about the valley of the dry bones. So if bones are around you, hear it. But I don't hear it. I hear it because, how do I word it? I hear it because I feel it rattling, if that make any sense. Like I don't actually audibly hear it, but I can feel it rattling, and that's how I'm hearing it. Like it's almost like I feel like my senses are heightened, not in paranoia or situational awareness. I'm seeing stuff I've never seen, but I'm not seeing it optically. Like what I just talked about. I'm hearing things that have no sound, but I can tell where it's at. I'm smelling things in the air that have no smell, but I know what's going to happen. Just like I was talking about the last video where, I was going through whatever, and then my spirits kind of started surging, even though I was physically tired. And I said, and I've been trying to, work through, getting to the next level in a plethora of areas. And it seemed like whatever, and I'm almost at the end of my rope as far as my options here where I'm at. And then I was saying, and I hear brothers, sometimes I get some content about, leave your hometown, this, that, and the third. And I've attempted to do that in a multitude of different fashions, but it wouldn't line up right, or it didn't, woo right. And I said, he's holding me here for a specific reason. Because I've tried to, you better believe it. Now I'm being held in this position. So when I come to that epiphany, right? So I say, all right, I'll lay in it, right? You know what I'm saying? And here it is. And I say this to the Most High, because he done saved me about 1,000 times, right? Short number. But I'm like, why you always gotta wait to the last second though? Can't you? You know what I mean? Like, can't you do a little before so I don't get all woo? So now with that experience, when it start looking like you've done all you can do and there are no more options, bang, he always hit me with the buzzer beater. You know what I'm saying? No matter what it is. And it was crazy because I'm driving down the road. It's late at night. It's probably like after 12. It might have been around about this time, Friday night. I don't think I had anything. I was just kind of riding the side, praying or doing what I was doing. I said, I said this late, I'm like, I can taste it. I'm here. I can taste the next level. Normally you feel the next level or you see the next level, but this is different. I'm seeing something by taste. It's in the air. I can taste it. And then that had my spirit, you know what I mean? I'm like, we done went up. I don't even know what I'm saying right now, but I'm thoroughly convinced it's accurate. Because I refuse to go hop on the Bamboozle Again News Network and bamboozle y'all, It's here. Like breakthroughs and it's coming and this, that, and the third. And you're like, okay, you might have heard that for years. Certain stuff. Here's another thing. I started remembering, because I grew up like real old fashioned where like older folk used to prophesy over you and tell you some stuff. And you're like, well, okay, but how I'm going to do that from here? Here's one. I might have shared this on here. I was homeless, right? So I tried to call myself doing something petty and get locked up on purpose and treat it like a rehab stint. So I went to the diner, got me a meal and then just told the lady, look, I don't have no money to pay for this. You should probably call the police. Cause I was trying to get locked up. But something petty enough where I ain't got to do a whole bunch of time and I come up with another campaign draw out, right? The policeman wouldn't even lock me up. It was like the Most High saying, you going to do this, right? You going to feel this. I got you. So I finally go to court for it. The people don't show up. Before I go to court, now mind you, I'm homeless. I'm still bewildered of certain, haven't overcome and haven't healed from certain stuff, whatever, right? So I'm beelining for the court, right? And eventually, like these white folk kind of swerve like in my path. And I tell they was like Christianized folk, but I kind of had my feelings about it. But I'm like, I ain't gonna be mean to them. They ain't did nothing to me, right? So I'm talking to them like, yeah, I'm going to court. They were like, can we pray for you? I'm like, yeah, sure, why not? Whatever, right? I ain't taking it, you know what I'm saying, whatever. They just do it like the Mormon people. They don't, to me, they don't mean no, you know what I mean? I just don't fool with them like that, right? So then the woman's like, she looking at me kind of confused. And she was like, I see you like Gideon going behind enemy lines and rescuing the captives. But then I'm thinking to myself, like, that would be something I would like to do, but I can't rescue myself right now. I'm starting to see the manifestation of that without the new agey manifestation talking point. I remember one time I was at church, right? No, here it is. Now, I believe even like in this matrix, right? I've been getting all these like epiphanies in the matrix, or he's reminding me of stuff that I forgot about or kind of just brushed to the side or whatever the case may be. So I don't know if I told y'all this. Yeah, I probably did. I told y'all a story where when I first got to Baltimore, out of nowhere, I got the number 7 in my spirit. You know what I'm saying? And this ties into what the woman was saying. She was like, I see you like Gideon going behind enemy lines and rescuing the captive. Yeah, that was before that. Yeah. So I don't know. I'm like, yo, why I keep thinking about number 7, yo? Da, da, da. So I talked to my man from Virginia. He was there. He was like, man, you should, woo woo, right? So I decided to go back to the old church, right? So I'm walking down, and you know the story of Gideon, and I think, what was that, the Technicolor raincoat? Or I might be mixing that up. But something about God told him something. And he was like, well, if this is really you, I'm going to throw my coat down, and I want the coat to be wet and the ground be dry. And he did it. And then he was like, oh, well, if this really you, do the reverse. Let the coat be dry and the ground be wet, right? So I walked down to the jump, hop off the light rail, walking through the path. And I can't remember but it was like dew on the ground. But it was $7 in the middle of the path. And it was dry. Had number 7 in my spirit. Okay, cool, boom. Go to the prayer service, right? We praying, we kicking, woo woo. And then the woman says, the Most High told me to tell you to look up the number 7, right? I said, okay. That's a trifecta, right? I'm like, wow. So I look it up, and from whatever little research I believe, if you're looking for the truth, you should know the truth when you hear it. But the version I got that resonated with me was divine completion. I said, And I got a few things to work on, be mindful of, so on and so forth. And even in areas I used to struggle in, once I surrendered, somehow I got the power to beat stuff that had beat me, even though I tried to beat it in and of myself. It's like when I stop fighting, then I win. Then this thing drops off me. Or then I get this new skill. Or then I can stop doing stuff I've done for 20 years out of nowhere, even though I'm not thinking, yo, I need to stop. Even though I'm thinking that, but I don't know how I'm going to stop. I just lose all desire for it out of nowhere. We just went online. I said we just went online. I'm not even sleepy. I haven't really been hungry. I've been in this space of just, as I like to call it, power surging and being thankful and just remembering the path and the journey. And this ain't the end all be all. This is just the tip of the iceberg. I had an epiphany while I was in Baltimore. I said, when this break, it's going to happen either out of nowhere or rapid succession. Like one thing after another. And I ain't talking about, oh, I'm rich now and now I'm famous. I don't care nothing about that. I ain't talking about none of that. I'm talking about called into your purpose. Here's another thing I seen, right? That movie, The Eternals, right? It's like, I like superhero movies, right? So at one point, there's like they supposed to go to these worlds and help the people evolve so they can harness the energy of the thing, right? Of the planet, right? And then the other entity over top of them, I forgot what you call that, the Colossus. Let's say that's what it is. He eats the planet and draws the energy. But the Eternals end up like loving the people, and they don't want the Colossus to destroy it. So the Colossus tell the Eternal when he summons him up to wherever he's at in outer space and say, yo, you're basically programmed. You're basically created to do this, and you're breaking the program. I feel like I'm in a simulation. In the sense of I become self-aware. And I heard my man, SRBG, say, we talk about NPCs and, woo. Technically, you God's NPC. You're gonna do what you're predestined and programmed to do, whether you like it or not. I understand the whole free will concept. But maybe somehow he changes our hearts to where the desires he truly has become mine now. Like, I think he wanted me to go to North Carolina to experience something. But then I started having these inklings, like, yo, I want to go to North Carolina out of nowhere. And then that set the stage for a certain other, circumstance to happen that created a chain of events that now put me here. But it actually set me up to destroy me, for him to rebuild me. You see what I'm saying? Had I not had that implanted in me out of nowhere, all of a sudden I just start thinking about North Carolina. I just want to go there now, yeah. I'm thinking it's my own thought. It's almost like the Most High got some type of remote control, and at certain intervals in time, he's able to hit a button and trigger some desire in me that's actually his desire to move me a certain way. Which may go into when he say, I knew you before you were born, or before you entered, or before the foundations of the world. I'm starting to understand stuff and can't believe I understand it. So what I do with it, I'm out of that space. I just embrace it. I didn't even know I went that long. This might be my longest video. Hey, don't even worry about not knowing nothing. I'm telling you, I don't know why I feel like this. Not just for me, for everybody who may view this video. It's here, baby. It's here. Watch what happens. I guarantee you I'll get some calm. And I ain't one of them fakey take profits, or I ain't trying to galvanize nobody, hit my cash app, none of that. I feel compelled to tell y'all this, yeah. You know I'm a little upbeat and I'm a little energized and all that, right? All right. You take it for life if you want to. I done told you. I done did my job. And on that note, I'ma holler at y'all. And at the same time, cover your six. Ooh.